Do you guys remember the supply drop era of Call of Duty? Were you part of that, the dark period of time when you wanted a new weapon, you either had to grind for hours upon hours to unlock a bunch of supply drops, or you just whipped out your credit card and you bought them in bulk and then you crossed your fingers? I think most of us would agree. The current DLC gun system is way better than it used to be, but the supply drop era, it was strange. It was a strange period in Call of Duty, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos, and today we're going to go over some of those weapons that made it so controversial. See, Call of Duty had a bad habit of putting some insane weapons in the supply drop system in order to entice you to either grind like crazy for drops or just pay real-world dollary dues for them. And in this video, we're going to talk about 10 of the most insane supply drop exclusive guns in Call of Duty history. Keep in mind, we won't have anything from Infinite Warfare, Call of Duty World War II on this list, since those games had direct in-game unlock paths for basically all their DLC weapons. This video is going to be dedicated to all those insane guns from Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and Black Ops 4. They can only be unlocked by getting lucky with a supply drop or a weapon bribe, and you already know. So let me know in the comments if you actually managed to score any of these or all of them. Drop a like, and at number 10 is the MP11 Goliath in Advanced Warfare. Now, on its own, it was mid-tier. But if you got lucky with a supply drop and you pulled the Goliath variant, you got a huge buff. It made the MP11 capable of standing up to the best SMGs in the game. By default, the MP11 fired at 923 rounds per minute. Could kill in 4 to 6 shots with a 32-round mag and moderate recoil. Now, on paper, that's not great. But then along came the Goliath variant, which simply tweaked the damage profile to take one shot off your time to kill. Frankly, that's all it took to make this gun a melt machine with the fire rate being that high. I mean, it was definitely the best way to use the gun. I think it's a great way to start the list because unless you pulled it from an RNG supply drop, you never got is the M16 in Black Ops 3. It's a staple of Call of Duty. It's awesome to have it return in Black Ops 3 as a DLC weapon, but a lot of people forget just how absurd this version of the rifle was. The Black Ops 3 M16 had some of the most insane range of any Call of Duty rifle to date. This thing could one-burst people from across the map with ease. It put it on par with the COD 4 M16 in terms of one-burst consistency, which those are legends. The only downside of this version was the slightly lower than usual fire rate for a burst weapon, but with the accuracy being so good and the recoil so low, that one burst range was crazy. Easily one of the best versions of the M16 in Call of Duty history. Not quite as good as the COD 4 version, simply because that version had a noticeably faster fire rate. But super high tier weapon, and you could only get it in a 1% chance supply drop. At number 8, the 1911 in Black Ops 3. Classic Call of Duty weapon, one of the most reoccurring pistols in COD history, but this thing was borderline overpowered when it was brought into the Black Ops 3 supply drop system. This version of the 1911 looked simple, wasn't flashy at all, was actually really boring. But for some reason, Treyarch decided to make it capable of dealing 50 damage per shot, made it capable of a 2-shot kill in most situations, and basically turned it into a deagle while still looking, sounding, and handling like a classic 1911, meaning it had super low recoil, very fast reload animation. It was like a sleeper gun. Since this was Black Ops 3, the pistols had more attachment options than ever, so you could load this thing up, extended mags, whatever, long barrel, didn't matter. I don't get it. Not sure why Treyarch decided to turn it into such a monster in the game, but they did, and that supply drop lock made it extremely painful to get killed by it online. The supply drops were already so overloaded with stuff by the time the 1911 was added, so not a lot of people got it. At number 7, the Javelina AA-50 in Black Ops 4. Now, I want to mention that Black Ops 4's DLC weapon system was slightly better than Black Ops 3's because there were ways to actually pick and choose the DLC weapons you wanted and get them out of a weapon bribe. However, 95% of players simply weren't going to have the time to grind for weapon bribes, and at the end of the day, having to pay real-world money for a weapon bribe, just as bad as paying real-world money for a bunch of supply drops. So, I include Black Ops 4 weapons today. Now, Black Ops 4 DLC weapons were easier to get than Black Ops 3 or Advanced Warfare. They were still rare to see on the battlefield, and there were some pretty overpowered ones as well, including the Javelina. Basically the Black Ops 4 equivalent of the Barrett 50 cal. Semi-auto sniper, one-shot kill potential above the waist, pretty generous magazine size, allowed you to pop person after person without having to rechamber or reload. Now, compared to other snipers in Black Ops 4, this thing was easy to use, very consistent, lots of one-shot kills, super valuable in a game with such a long time to kill, and since it was a DLC weapon, that meant you either had to fork up some money for a budget supply drops or grind for a weapon bribe, which could take a really long time, and you could only earn so many at a time. Again, not nearly as bad as Black Ops 3 or AW supply drop systems, but still pretty exploitative. Yeah. At number 6, The VMP in Black Ops 4. To this day, people talk about how broken the Black Ops 4 VMP was. This SMG debuted in Black Ops 3. Fan favorite weapon because it was really good. It was versatile, high skill ceiling. I don't think anybody would ever have called it overpowered. It was just really good. But when Treyarch brought it back for Black Ops 4 and threw it in the supply drop system, they decided to buff it like crazy and make it the best gun in the entire game. The Black Ops 4 VMP had an absurd time to kill up close, a very competitive time to kill at range, despite being an SMG. I mean, also had low recoil, super clean iron sights, huge default mag, I could go on, helpful attachments. You could take full advantage of the lightweight and the fast handling speeds. It was busted. And a lot of people call it one of the best SMGs in the entire franchise. The only reason it's not at number 1 today is the simple fact that weapon bribes existed in Black Ops 4, so you weren't completely at the mercy of random number generators if you were trying to get it. But just so you and I are on the same page, if Black Ops 4 supply drop system worked the same way as BO3 in Advanced Warfare, the VMP would have been number 1. Now we arrive at the top 5. The AK-12 RIP in Advanced Warfare. This was the very first supply drop gun I ever pulled. It was strange. Despite having AK in the name, it functioned more like the ICR from Black Ops 3 or the Kilo from Modern Warfare. Gave you this moderate damage, moderate fire rate in return for laser-like accuracy and solid handling speeds. It was easy to hit shots with the AK-12. Wasn't exactly a killing machine like the other AKs in COD history, but if you wanted to turn it into something special, pull the RIP variant from the supply drops. It was insane. It would increase the gun's minimum damage to make it a 4-shot kill no matter where, which was insane for a gun that fired at 750 rounds per minute. It would also decrease the view kick by 20%, which made it one of the most accurate guns in COD history. The only downside is it decreased your magazine to 22 rounds. If you were running quick reload attachment, it wasn't that big a deal, but you did go through the ammo pretty fast. It was a laser beam. It was really good. At number 4. The HBRA-3 Insanity in Advanced Warfare. I remember when I pulled this one. Now remember this gun. It was always overshadowed by other weapons in Advanced Warfare, but it was super satisfying to use because of the beefy firing sound and the high damage per shot. But if you were going to use the HBR, you were hoping for the Insanity variant. Give it a huge buff, made it capable of standing up to the top tier weapons in AW by default. The HBR would fire at 857 rounds per minute. Then it would decrease down to 625 after the first 4 shots, kind of like the AN-94. Would still kill in 3 shots up close, 4 at mid-range, and 5 at long. But the Insanity variant tweaked a few of those. Instead of starting at 857 and going down to 625, the Insanity variant would start at 1,000 rounds per minute and decrease to 750. And on top of that huge fire rate buff, it also increased the long-range damage to make it a 3-shot kill up close and a 4-shot kill everywhere else. The only other downside of it was you couldn't run an optic attachment, so you were stuck with the iron sights, but it wasn't a big deal if you got used to them. This thing was the definition of insanity, no pun intended. At number 3 today, the ASM-1 Speakeasy in Advanced Warfare. Now, most Advanced Warfare players saw the ASM-1 as the best SMG in the game, and when you were looking at the base stats of everything, it's obvious the players were right. But the Speakeasy made this SMG even more powerful. If you pulled it from a supply drop, you were probably never going to use another SMG in the game. It would basically turn the ASM-1 into an overpowered Tommy gun. Gave you a much faster fire rate and integrated extended mags without nerfing your closer at mid-range damage, meaning you could fly around the map, literally, spraying and praying and killing people in 4 shots, 3 shots. The only downside was the reduced long-range damage, but let's be real. Nobody was using the ASM-1 at long range. This thing was a monster. At number 2, the XMC in Black Ops 3. It was a futuristic remake of the fan-favorite MSMC from Black Ops 2, but Treyarch decided to make it even more desirable in Black Ops 3, and they buffed the damage, the fire rate, the range, and the stability. They turned it into one of the most overpowered weapons in COD history. It was broken when it was first added to the supply drop system, and even now that it's been nerfed, it's still really good. Fire rate was high, handling was amazing, time to kill was amazing. You could easily use it at longer ranges like a rifle. You could stay competitive with your time to kill. Between this and the Black Ops 4 VMP, I think Treyarch just had a thing for bringing back fan-favorite SMGs and buffing them through the ceiling. I do. But at number 1, the best supply drop weapon in COD history, no shock for anybody, the Bal Obsidian Steed in Advanced Warfare. Did you pull it? And when you did pull it, if you did, what was your reaction? If you never pulled it and got to experience it, tell me about it. There was never a doubt in my mind it was going to be number 1. The Bal 27 was already the best gun in Advanced Warfare. I mean, the versatility, the ease of use, but the Obsidian Steed variant took it to a whole new level of stupid. The Bal was an assault rifle, moderate fire rate, super low recoil, killing 3 shots up close, 4 shots at mid and longer. The Steed slightly slowed down that fire rate, but you got greatly improved minimum damage, made it virtually always a 3-shot kill. It was an absolute plague to multiplayer because the bow was already spammed enough in the game. But if you somehow got lucky and pulled the steed from a supply drop, you would instantly get a huge advantage over everyone in the game because you were using an even better version of the gun that was already unanimously seen as the best gun in the game. To me, this is the best supply drop gun in COD history. There won't be any changing my mind. Let me know one that we didn't mention that we should have, and I'll see you soon.